Aloha and mahalo as we look at OKO Arm Lock number 5. This one introduces a new attack. Lately we've been looking at their punch counters, not straight punches. This is our first uppercut. Once again, our opponent's left leg slightly forward, predominantly with punch counters, and with the other counters we're seeing left lead forward as he comes in with this right uppercut. Hands are up, probably looking at a boxer here. Left leg forward, steps in with that uppercut. So what we want to do is to create distance. Once again, it's coming from our 12 o'clock green zone. In my case, my left foot is going to be slightly forward. My hands are already in the defensive position, having the outside of my arms out, not the inside, just in case he has a blade. Once again, I'm talking to him, trying to de-escalate the situation. He comes in with that uppercut. I'm going to step back slightly with my right to create distance and chop that uppercut. I want to be careful of the secondary weapon, so I'm going to stop his momentum with palm heel. Now in the written technique, it's stopped with an elbow. But in Chris's version, we're going to use that palm heel to the shoulder like we do in 6 to create a point of rotation for the elbow. What do I mean by that? So for instance, if I come a little bit closer, if I'm contacting this pad, my palm becomes a point of rotation where I can rotate, still having contact on the pad and still affecting a strike. We're going to talk about this more when we come to concepts and principles. But save it to be. Our hands are up, left leg slightly forward, step back, chop that uppercut, stop his forward momentum. This would be called a blitz. It's a block and a hit at the same time. So once again, defensive position, block, hit. Rotate to that elbow. I'm going to still have control of his shoulder. My left arm is going to snake up and around his arm, contouring up his arm and grasping my other hand, controlling him. Now I'm going to shift weight forward to borrow his balance for the knee. Or if I want to knee and then notice where I stepped behind me to rotate, push him down to the ground. Using a close kneel to trap him to the ground and then following up. Once again from the front, block, strike, elbow. Snake and hook, knee, takedown. Stay tuned for concepts and principles. Welcome back as we look at the concepts and principles in Arm Lock number 5. Once again, when this attack is coming in, we're coming from a point of origin. This is my defensive posture. This is the defensive posture I teach all of my students. And from this, number 1, I'm preventing damage to vital areas in this posture. It's also not very threatening. We've seen in the movies, hey, I don't want any problems. All we're doing is flipping our hands over. From here, from this point of origin, it allows us, when that uppercut comes in, to just drop my left hand. A lot of the times you'll see in techniques, the students start with their hands down, and what is it they have to do in order to get to this uppercut? Now I've got to then bring their hand up, over, and down. Giant, big circle to get to the weapon. Versus from here, from point of origin, this is what we'd call a push down block. From point of origin to point of contact is very short, versus starting in our hands down position, a lot more time to bring that hand over. So point of origin, point of contact. Once I do so, I need to stop that momentum, right? So that is where we have, in this case, the elbow or palm heel to the radial of the shoulder. Point of origin, point of contact, striking the radial. We're going to use this as a point of contact. And from the point of contact of the shoulder, and then the elbow to the head, it's nearly impossible to miss. This is a great tactile way for the student to be able to know where their opponent is, even if they close their eyes, and just rotate on their hand to bring that inward elbow up and in. Once again, blocking, preventing that forward momentum with the right hand, strike. Now in the original written technique, it's immediately to the elbow, which is fine, but we want to interject some concepts and principles in here for you. It also introduces what's called points of contact. Let me grab this pad. What do I mean by points of contact? Here's my point of origin, here's my target. Point of origin to point of contact. Point of contact to point of penetration. In other words, once I've made contact with the target, I'm going to actually go beyond that initial point and push through. That is the penetration. In other words, when I hit into the stomach, I'm not just going to the surface, I'm going to go down and in to the fleshy part of the body. It's called penetration. Now we have other points that are also called, once we get to penetration, points of manipulation. For instance, let's say I want to grab my own wrist. Here's my point of contact, or point of origin, point of contact, point of penetration, and now I can cause a point of manipulation. Those are the four main points of contact. In this particular case, we're going to be using a point of origin, my right hand, palm heel to the shoulder, point of contact. I have a point of manipulation in the rotation to the elbow. Now the elbow has its own point of origin, point of contact, point of penetration. These are concepts we're going to be talking about quite a bit, progressing now from purple belt on in the system. In the flow of this technique, here we have point of origin, here are our 3 points of contact. Now introduces something called snaking. If this is his arm, he's come in with the uppercut, I've chopped, I've struck the shoulder, elbow. Now notice my left hand. I'm going to go under and over. I'm going to literally snake around his arm so that I can grab my right hand. Once again, introducing another 3 points of contact. My armpit, my arm, and my hand are now 3 points of contact to control my opponent. From this point, once again, I am going to step back with my right leg to clear the way to bring him down to the ground. How am I going to put him down to the ground? His weight is shifted 50-50 on his feet. I need to, what is called off weight. So how do I do that off weight? I'm actually going to push, notice my hands, I'm going to push his shoulder towards his left foot. As I push his shoulder to his left foot, his weight is going to shift towards his left foot, allowing me then to pull him down and then to the ground. You're going to see this off-weighting come up. Anytime we try and take our opponents down to the ground, we're going to need to off-weight. An opponent at 50-50 weight distribution between their feet is difficult to take down. So if we need to do a sweep, a buckle, or a strike down, we're going to need to alter that distribution, also called off-weighting. So what is it that we've seen here in arm lock number 5? Manipulation of our opponent's height, their width, and their depth. We've seen introduction of pivot points in the shoulder. We've seen twice 3 points of contact. We've been introduced now to snaking. We have off-weighting. And we have, as of course, mess with our opponent. Mess with the machine. Misaligned the bugger, as Dr. Dave Crouch would say. This has been OKO Arm Lock number 5. Hopefully you enjoy. Aloha, mahalo.